When me and my family went to Universal Studios in Florida this year, we went on the Minions ride, and after seeing Minions now, I'm a little confused. This new Minions movie has you believe that the Minions always existed and they evolved and they've always been searching for a master and so forth. But in the Minions ride, and I think in the Despicable Me movies, aren't the Minions actually created by Gru? And if they were created by Gru, then doesn't that make Minions complete bullshit? And completely meaningless and unnecessary? So back in 2010, Despicable Me happened, and I was quite surprised. I didn't think too much of it. I wasn't going into it expecting like it would be something good. I was a little hesitant in seeing it, but it surprised me and it was really fun. Despicable Me 2 happened, and it was a complete disappointment for me. I think I'm in the minority, as I did not like Despicable Me 2 at all. And there's a huge fan craze of people that love Minions and the Despicable Me movies, so it was bound to happen. A Minions movie has come out, and yeah. A little side note of something kind of funny that happened while we were watching trailers before Minions came on. We saw the trailer for the new Pixar movie, Good Dinosaur, and this teenager behind us says, "Why are they showing a Pixar movie trailer?" And then this teen girl says, "Oh right, the Minions, it's a Pixar movie, isn't it?" Yeah, Minions is definitely Pixar. That's why they did the Universal theme song at the beginning of the film, and that's why there is a ride in Universal Studios called Minions. So yeah, Minions is definitely Pixar. So to put the plot as simply as possible, the Minions have always been around and they've always done the bidding of the biggest bad guy that exists. And so you get this little montage of them following a T-Rex and following cavemen and following Napoleon and all these other people. But the Minions always make these terrible mistakes that either end up killing their master or just doing something plain horrible, and so now they're in exile and they don't really have a master. And so 3 brave Minions decide to go out on their own and find a master for the rest of the Minions. And so they find this supervillainess, played by Sandra Bullock, Scarlet Overkill. Now I don't have very many problems with the Minions themselves. Slapstick that they do is kind of funny. Their gibberish is pretty funny. They've never been the greatest thing of the Despicable Me franchise, and I've never been a huge fan of them, but I thought they were fairly decent side characters. But now we've got a Minion movie, and so they're front and center as the main characters, and I think for the most part they were good, and for the most part they held up as the main characters, but it gets old really fast. At least all 3 of the Minions have their own little personality, and you can tell them apart, and they all bring something different to the table when it comes to trying to find a new master. I think the first half of the film, I was cracking up a lot. I was giggling, I was chuckling, I had some fun times, and there were some moments where I just really enjoyed Minions. But then as it progressed, it started to get a little more boring, and things weren't as funny, even though the film is supposed to be building up to this really crazy thing that happens towards the end and this great climax and stuff. It's supposed to build up to something, but for me it just sort of got a little more boring as it went along and a little less funny as it went along. And so sometime, I would say sometime after the villain con happened, it started to really bore me. There are some moments where I did laugh in the second half, and most of that came from the antics of the Minions that got left behind and their search to get back to the three main minions that are searching for a villain who have found a villain, you know? I think more of the hilarity in the second half comes from those minions than it does the main minions that you're supposed to be caring about and laughing with. And one of the things when I saw the trailers that I was really worried about was the villain con, and I felt that when I watched the trailer this was going to be one of the stupidest things that I've seen. The trailer makes it seem like VillainCon is just as big as something like Comic-Con or something, and it's normal people that are fans of villains and they want to get autographs and stuff, and it just feels like, okay, if that's really happening and being televised and stuff, then why don't heroes and cops and stuff just like arrest them all or something? They're like a sitting target. That's what the trailer made it seem like it was going to be, but it really isn't, and I was surprised by it. It actually is a secretive thing, and the people going to this villain con are simply villains and people that are striving to be villains. So there's no like normal people going to this. The cops and stuff don't know about it because it's on a secret channel and stuff, and it definitely makes sense in the context of Minions, and it didn't feel stupid to me, at least. Speaking of which, the family that the Minions tag along to go to VillainCon, I think a lot of them worked well in the movie, and I thought they were funny. And in all honesty, out of all the humans in this movie, they're the ones that I kind of dug and kind of liked and thought were funny. Jon Hamm's character has some bright moments where he is really funny and just really out there because he's this over-the-top 60s/70s character, and you can totally see it. But with that said, all the other humans, even Sandra Bullock as this evil villainess, it was just bland. I mean, it wasn't as... Especially with a villain whose name is Scarlet Overkill, you think it would be something over the top and crazy, but she really wasn't. And there is a moment where she goes ballistic towards the end, but that was during the second half where I was kind of bored, and so it didn't really matter. One of the things I think Minions does get right is it sets it in a... I think the year was 1968 in the film. So we get this little 60s, almost converging into 70s sort of movie, and I think it depicts the era pretty well. There's a lot of really good pop culture references. The soundtrack was pretty amazing because it really fits that era, and it's music I like. And then there was this one joke in the movie. I think it was meant to be a joke. I think it flew over the heads of every single member in the audience because there was no one laughing during this really long stretch of this gag. Okay, in the film, Scarlet Overkill wants the royal crown. She wants the Minions to steal it, and so the Minions are getting gadgets from Jon Hamm's character, and this one Minion gets the ability to hypnotize people with this one groovy hat. And so he uses it to hypnotize the guards, and he causes the guards to speak in Minion speak and sing a song and dance. And it's kind of... no, it's really creepy. Now, I have no idea if this is actually a real song that they used, that they just used Minion verses to it so that it's just like a Minion would sing a popular song. But I did not recognize the song, so that hurts its laughability. I did not recognize what song it was. And the things that the people were doing were really ridiculous to the point where it's just plain stupid. I think the whole theater was completely silent during this, and we're just like baffled and just like, what? Even the kids weren't even laughing at this part. And the only voice I heard was the teenage girl behind me singing along with the song, completely knowing the lyrics in Minion speech. What? If anyone knows what song the Minions are referencing, if it really is a song just done in Minion speech, please tell me, because I have no idea what song it's supposed to be, and it just baffled me, and it flew over pretty much everyone's head in the theater. And if you're worried that you won't understand what's happening in Minions because the Minions don't really speak English, it kind of worked for me. I think it's very easy to get the gist of what they're saying and what they're talking about, or what's going on in the film, even though they speak gibberish. And I think it helps because there is a narrator, especially towards the beginning of the film. But eventually, you just sort of get what the Minions are saying, and it helped me sometimes because they actually did speak a little Spanish from time to time, and I know a little Spanish, so I actually got to understand some of the things they were saying. It felt like most of the speech was a mixture of different languages every so often. Like when they say what, they say K, and it makes absolute sense during the moments that they actually do say K, that it actually makes sense that they're saying what. And so I found that pretty easy to understand. And I think it really suffers in the second half of the film, so much to a point that I dislike the movie. I'm gonna have to give Minions 1.5 stars. Yeah, I honestly like Minions more than Despicable Me 2, which is going to be crazy to some people because I know there are some avid fans of Despicable Me 2 and fans that actually feel Despicable Me 2 is way better than the first film. But for me, first film's the best. It's more like a 4-star movie for me. Despicable Me 2 is like a 1/2 star or 1 star. And Minions is 1.5 to me. I enjoyed Minions more than I did Despicable Me 2, but the second half was actually worse than anything done in Despicable Me 2. So it ultimately gets a dislike for me. So have you seen Minions? What did you think about it? Was it the worst animated film this year? So far it is for me. But if you haven't seen Minions, what is your favorite animated movie? Or actually, what is your favorite Despicable Me in this trilogy that's happening? Is it Despicable Me 1, 2, or is it Minions? And as always, this is Bruce Gifford, and this was Just My Opinion.